Welcome back, Sethbling here. Mojang just released the 14W5A snapshot, and that's what I'm in right now. I am in spectator mode. This is the new game mode. Besides adventure and creative and survival, spectator mode, I'm actually spectating from the point of view of a spider. So this is a really cool mode, definitely useful for custom maps. I can actually fly through blocks. This is really cool. The controls work just like flying in creative mode. It's a little bit slow in my opinion, flying around, but still a really cool mode, and Mojang has said they're not done playing around with it, and it's definitely not completed yet. But yeah, you can spectate mobs by left-clicking on them, and certain mobs, like the spider, have really trippy effects. The spider is probably the coolest one, but basically this is supposed to mimic the 8 eyes that a spider has, all pointing in kind of different directions. So that's really cool. I've got some other mobs here. Let me just spawn them in, and I'll go back to game mode 3. And so for instance, here's, if you ever wondered what it looked like to be an Enderman, this is what it looks like. He's teleporting around, he's looking around, and he's got some very weird shader going on here. I'll actually have to travel a little bit to get back. Oops. I'm going to go at creative because it's a lot faster to fly in creative than it is in spectator mode. There's some other cool stuff in the snapshot. Let me just show you creeper creeper view before I do anything else. The creeper sees green and everything. I don't know, it's kind of like well, anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. You can spectate, actually, so you can spectate mobs. You can also like look inside of chests, and you'll notice it doesn't make any sound when you do that. So you can look inside of all these things. You can spectate players too, I've been told. Well, I haven't tried it myself. You can't interact with anything, like there's no outlines on this button. I can't push it. Obviously there's no outline on the blocks here. I guess if I left click, sometimes I can get particles to appear, but that probably doesn't even show it for other players. So yeah, you really can't interact with anything, and it's just meant to be something that lets you spectate a game that other people are playing. So I think that's really cool, and that's going to be used in basically every custom map ever made in the future if it's multiplayer. So there's a slight change to the way books work. Now, if you copy a book, it makes it clear which one is the original and which one's the copy. So if I put, signed book here and a thing here, you'll see that the book that comes out this end says copy of original. So that's just a slight change, but lets you identify which one's the original and which one's not. Activator rails now have the ability to eject players and entities. So if I turn this off, the activator rail is off, and I go over it, it doesn't do anything. If I turn it on, though, it's going to eject me, and I'll just be forced out of the minecart. I think this is really cool. This is something that I thought was actually kind of promised back way in 1.5 to have ejector rails, but this allows you to automate rail systems a lot better, which I think is great. So that's definitely useful for survival Minecraft. There's some more kind of creative custom mode things. So there's this new barrier block, and this is really cool. You'll notice you can see the shadow. If I try and walk, I can't walk past the barrier. You can kind of see the shadow. That's definitely a bug. That's going to go away. Yeah, I assume in whatever the next snapshot is. Whether there's a B version of the snapshot or whatever. If you actually go to video settings and turn smooth lighting off, the shadow goes away. So, yeah, it was unintentional. I've talked to Dinnerbone, and he said it was. These blocks are invisible. They are unbreakable. Well, you can break them if you're in creative mode, of course, and they have these lava particles. If you're in survival mode, they show lava particles when you try and break them, but you can't break them. And of course, if you're in adventure mode, you can't see them at all, which is really cool for things like levers, buttons, whatever. You can have floating buttons and levers now. I think that's neat. They're also unbreakable like bedrock. So if I ignite this TNT, I've got it completely surrounded by the barrier blocks, and it's unbreakable. And then the last thing that I'm going to show you in the video is F3 text has now changed a little bit. First thing you'll notice is that there is now a gray background behind the text, makes it a little bit easier to read, especially against kind of noisy backgrounds. But also the text has just been cleaned up a bit. It's a bit easier to read. The feet is my X, Y, and Z coordinates, and you'll see as I move around, those change. Block is the block coordinates, so it's basically just integer versions of those. Chunk is where am I within the chunk, what chunk am I in, etc. I guess it's all pretty clear. It says I have the creeper shader on right now, but I don't, so I guess that's a bug as well. But you gotta always expect bugs with the snapshots. If you want to see the full change list for the snapshot, I will try and find you a link for that. My usual link on Reddit isn't up right now, but I'll get you a change list so you can check that out from the video description. Really cool snapshot. Spectator mode is definitely very cool, and I'm sure there's going to be more subtle additions to it as we go on. That's about it. Thanks for watching.